So there was this Pokeball introduced during the Orange Island series, called the GS Ball. But I'm sure you guys forgot about that, mainly because that was the Pokemon Company's goal. But let's back up a little bit so I can explain what the GS Ball is for those of you who do not know. The GS Ball is a Pokeball that no one was able to open up to find out what's inside. Professor Ivy from the Orange Island series tried to open it with hacksaws, hammers, crowbars, power drills, and lasers. Professor Oak couldn't even find anything on it regarding information-wise. Overall, the GS Ball is a complete mystery. The only information we really have on the GS Ball is that it's solid gold and silver along with the initials GS, assuming the letters stand for gold and silver, representing the first video games of the second generation. There were a lot of theories about this ball, but it doesn't matter because we actually have facts behind the story of the GS Ball. In an interview with Matsumitsu Hidaka in 2008, it was explained that the GS Ball was originally going to contain a Celebi, though it was going to be a star in the large arc of the Johto saga. However, it was decided that Celebi would be the star of the fourth Pokemon movie, so the story arc was viewed as redundant and shelved. The ball was left with Kurt and hopes that viewers would eventually forget about it. I personally think it's absolutely terrible on the writer's part by spending so much time on the GS Ball to just drop it completely. There should have been some sort of closure to the GS Ball story, and it was the first time the writers of Pokemon really disappointed me. What's even worse is that for every episode of the anime's fourth season, Johto League Champions, 3 GS Balls are seen alongside the title card and the name of the episode. Why would you still incorporate it if you're trying to get fans to forget about it? The GS Ball was also mentioned in the manga, where the ball was created by the Masked Man using a net made from feathers of Lugia and Ho-Oh to capture Celebi. Only the feathers of the 2 legendary Pokemon could contain Celebi and prevent their holder from suffering the ill effects of time travel. However, the character Gold was able to use his Pichu to destroy it and set Celebi free. The GS Ball also made an appearance in the Japanese version of Pokemon Crystal, where players could use the Pokemon mobile system and the Pokemon News Machine at the Pokemon Communications Center in Golden Red City. They would obtain the GS Ball as an event item from the Pokemon Communications Center's Trade Corner attendants. After obtaining the GS Ball, the player must place it on the Alex Forest Shrine during the period when Alex Forest is suddenly restless, which will cause a level 30 Wild Celebi to be summoned. For Western localizations of the game, the distribution event was adapted to the Goldenrod Pokemon Center, but was never used. It is possible to use a modified version of the Celebi egg glitch to spawn the GS Ball as a held item. In the Korean versions of Pokemon Gold and Silver, there's a dummy GS Ball in the game's code, which corresponds to Teru-sama with the same index number in the Japanese and Western versions of the games. It is completely useless and it has absolutely no function, unlike the real GS Ball in Pokemon Crystal. The GS Ball is recognized as such in Pokemon Stadium 2 even when the transfer pack is used with Pokemon Gold and Silver. All this time and effort into implementing the GS Ball into the games and TV show, yet it was all scrapped for a movie. Just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. They never even made a movie with the premise surrounding Ho-Oh or Raikou, so I'm not sure why the Pokemon writers didn't just make a movie on them and then add the Celebi arc into the TV show. But now it's just an interesting fact in Pokemon history. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today, and I will do my best to have a new one every 2 weeks. If you guys enjoyed, please hit that like button to show your support, and don't forget to sub if you guys haven't yet. If you guys are interested in more episodes like this, click any of these videos here. Have a great day, guys, and go Packers, nation-wise. Overall, the GS Ball is a complete mystery. The only information we really have on the GS Ball is that it's solid gold and silver along with the initials GS, assuming the letters stand for gold and silver, representing the first video games of the second generation. There were a lot of theories about this ball, but it doesn't matter because we actually have facts behind the story of the GS Ball. In an interview with Matsumitsu Hidaka in 2008, it was explained that the GS Ball was originally going to contain a Celebi, though it was going to be a star in the large arc of the Johto saga. However, it was decided that Celebi would be the star of the fourth Pokemon. Place it on the Alex Forest Shrine during the period when Alex Forest is suddenly restless, which will cause a level 30 Wild Celebi to be summoned. For Western localizations of the game, the distribution event was adapted to the Goldenrod Pokemon Center, but was never used. It is possible to use a modified version of the Celebi egg glitch to spawn the GS ball as a held item. In the Korean versions of Pokemon Gold and Silver, there's a dummy GS ball in the game's code, which corresponds to Teru-sama with the same index number in the Japanese and Western versions of the games. It is completely useless and it has absolutely no function, unlike the real movie, so the story arc was viewed as redundant and shelved. The ball was left with Kurt and hopes that viewers would eventually forget about it. I personally think it's absolutely terrible on the writer's part by spending so much time on the GS ball to just drop it completely. There should have been some sort of closure to the GS ball story, and it was the first time the writers of Pokemon really disappointed me. What's even worse is that for every episode of the anime's 4th season, Johto League Champions, 3 GS balls are seen alongside the title card and the name of the episode. Why would you still incorporate it if you're trying to get fans to forget about it? The GS ball was also mentioned in the manga where So there was this Pokeball introduced during the Orange Island series called the GS ball, but I'm sure you guys forgot about that, mainly because that was the Pokemon Company's goal. But let's back up a little bit so I can explain what the GS ball is for those of you who do not know. The GS ball is a Pokeball that no one was able to open up to find out what's inside. Professor Ivy from the Orange Island series tried to open it with hacksaws, hammers, crowbars, power drills, and lasers. Professor Oak couldn't even find anything on it regarding information. The ball was created by the Masked Man using a net made from feathers of Lugia and Ho-Oh to capture Celebi. Only the feathers of the 2 legendary Pokemon could contain Celebi and prevent their holder from suffering the ill effects of time travel. However, the character Gold was able to use his Pichu to destroy it and set Celebi free. The GS ball also made an appearance in the Japanese version of Pokemon Crystal, where players could use the Pokemon mobile system and the Pokemon News Machine at the Pokemon Communications Center in Golden Red City. They would obtain the GS ball as an event item from the Pokemon Communication Center's Trade Corner attendants. After obtaining the GS ball, the player must